How's it going, everyone? It's Adam from Life of Adam, and today I'm back with another lifeguarding video for you guys. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, I make a bunch of lifeguarding content about how to pass the course, how to be a successful lifeguard, how to get a job, basically everything you guys need to know about lifeguarding. So definitely consider subscribing and liking the video if you're new. So today I'm going to be answering questions based on my last video. Now, I didn't get that many comments compared to the first time I had done this, just because it's kind of in the off season. It's like, it's freezing out, it's January, especially if you live in New England like me. So I'm just going to answer some questions. I know it's early on, but as the spring approaches and early summer approaches, that's when the lifeguard hype is real. So that's when I'm gonna get the ball rolling a little bit more and post a lot of content. So first question from Valentine. I'm just gonna answer this randomly, just off the rip, no edits unless I just mess up talking. But she says, I haven't swum in over a year. I'm about to take my prereq in about 1 to 2 weeks. All right, so this is pretty close. How should I structure my practices in the pool? So if you wanna practice for the lifeguarding course, basically this is how you view it. You have to pass the pre-test. So once you pass that, you're in the clear. Now, basically what that means is if you struggle during the pre-test, it doesn't even matter. You can't even go to the rest of the course. So you have to pass that portion. So what that involves is lap swimming. So if I recommend something, I would practice like cardio, long distance swimming. So in the short period of time, since it starts in like 1 to 2 weeks, I would do laps in the pool. I would do like 8 laps of front crawl, 8 laps of breaststroke. And the strategy, what you do is, since breaststroke, it doesn't tire out as much, that's gonna be your key. So you wanna start off slow with front crawl, just do the minimum amount of front crawl, unless you're really good at front crawl, you can do that too. But what I did was, I did like 2 laps of front crawl, I just did the rest breaststroke, just paced myself. It's not a race, you don't have to fly through it. It doesn't even matter. There could be a Michael Phelps next to you and does it in like 5 minutes before you. It does not matter. As long as you do it without touching the walls, then you're good. So just actually do it out, actually do the 12 laps, do 2 of front crawl and the rest breaststroke. Time isn't really an issue. Just get the motions down, see what it feels like. You'll get tired at one point. So once you actually try it out and practice that, then you'll be like, okay, I started a little bit too fast on the front crawl. I'm gonna go a little bit easier and then go to breaststroke. Or you could be like, oh, I kind of like alternating between breaststroke and front crawl. You'll find your strategy once you actually physically do it in the pool. So that's what I would do. Practice, act like it's the actual test and make some adjustments, because you can't make adjustments once you're in the real thing, because it's live, and if you don't do it, then it's a tough spot. But I guarantee if you're a good swimmer, you're gonna get this done. Just pace yourself, that's the #1 thing, and practice, really tire yourself out. I'm not saying swim till failure, but just swim, get some cardio in, and you'll be successful. Also, there's the treading water portion where you have to do no hands. So I'd recommend, you don't have to go in super deep water, you can do it in shallow water, it doesn't matter. Just as long as you're not touching the bottom, just practice putting 2 hands up and just making circles with your legs. Think of happy thoughts. You'll get through it. That time goes by so fast. Just get a good rhythm down and you'll be fine. So I hope that answers that question. I have more in-depth videos about that, so check out my playlist. I have a video about the brick dive, the lap swim, and the treading water, which goes into depth about those specific things. But that's how I would practice, and if you can do those things, the rest of the course is very manageable. They'll hold your hand and they'll teach you all the steps, so you'll be fine. Second question from Rachel. How has your lifeguarding experience changed over the years? That's a great question. Now, when I started lifeguarding, I was considered a junior lifeguard because I was in high school. I was like 15. It was my first job, and I had minimal responsibilities in the sense that I didn't teach as many lessons as the older kids. I didn't guard as much as the older kids. Basically, like, I was there, I was getting paid, but I didn't really have a leadership role. I wasn't really an experienced lifeguard. Now, when I taught lessons with another lifeguard. So I wasn't really by myself, didn't really have all the responsibilities. Now, you do have all the responsibilities in the sense that you are a lifeguard. When you're on duty, if anything happens, that's you. So like, that doesn't change at all. But as you move along, you build your confidence, you start to expand your realm of opportunity in the sense that you teach your own swim lessons if you're into that. You can work your way up. So for me personally, I started from junior lifeguard. I worked my way all the way up to being the head lifeguard, so the head of all the other lifeguards, and I called the shots and I helped direct stuff. So in the sense, I got more responsibility and more leadership as time went on, but the core things are the same, that when you physically lifeguard, when you're scanning the pool, you're up on the stand, you're walking around, you're monitoring, you're blowing the whistle, you just get more comfortable as time goes on. So in a sense, that's how really my experience has changed. You just get more leadership, you get the better feel of everything, you build confidence, and then you just become, I just moved up the ranks into a head lifeguard. So that's how my experience really changed. This one's from Lydia. What are some responsibilities as a lifeguard that no one told you about? Some responsibilities that no one really told me about, that's a good question, because when you think of lifeguarding, you think of everything that happens in the pool deck, and the pool, that's your responsibility. At my specific lifeguarding job, I was at a summer camp, so really in a sense, I was kind of like a babysitter at some moments where like I didn't really think my responsibilities expanded to the fact that I had to watch over kids even outside of the pool, like on the field if there's issues, like if there are fights going on, if kids were yelling. Like I literally had to just babysit all these kids. So really my responsibilities expanded outside of the pool. But something more relatable is I didn't realize I had to do like chlorine, all these tests, this pool chemical tests. I didn't realize I had to do all this like equipment. You have to move stuff around. You have to make sure the pool's nice. At some jobs you have to like mop the floors and do like, you have to clean the pool deck. You have to walk around, pick up trash. That's very reasonable. But me as a kid, I didn't really expect that. Going in, I thought, oh, I was just gonna get a stand, the tube's there for me, I guard, and I go home after like 3 hours and wait till the next shift. But really, it's like pool chemicals especially, I didn't expect me to have to like test pH like 5 times a day at some jobs and like look into that stuff. And to some places they rotate, so if you have a big roster of lifeguards, like 1 week you do this, 1 week you're off, 1 week you're back doing something. So it kind of moves around like that. But yeah, there's responsibilities like that. But really I had a good feeling about what lifeguarding consisted of. Here's another question from Maddie. What should I say to get them to hire me? How do I sound professional? I'm assuming this is during like an interview. I have a video in depth about how to like crush a lifeguard interview and do really well. You should definitely check that out. It's on my playlist. But really what you got to do is you got to be yourself. Lifeguarding is the kind of job where you don't have to impress them with, oh, I have a bachelor's degree, I'm going for my master's in this, like here's all the internships. It's not like a business or like a real world after college type interview. Lifeguarding is more in the sense that you just want to establish the fact that you're a professional, you're respectful, you're a nice person, you're calm, you're relaxed, you're not nervous, you're not shaking around. So try to be relaxed, answer questions slowly, speak clearly, and just explain things, just be yourself. That's the number one thing. Now there's definitely competitive lifeguarding jobs where like, if you're like going in like Australia on like Bondi Beach, there's like a YouTube channel, it's like literally episodes of like rescues and crazy stuff. That job's a little bit more competitive because you have to have more of a reputation, you have to be established. But just because you're a lifeguard, let's say this is your first lifeguard interview, or you haven't had any huge rescues at your last lifeguarding job and you're trying to show that you're a really good lifeguard, like those, I mean, it's cool if you bring up a story like, yeah, I saved this kid's life, like that's great. But really lifeguarding is about prevention, so you don't really brag about, oh, I had to rescue someone. It just happens. To show that you're professional, to show that you're excited for the opportunity, and just be yourself. But if you want like specific tips, maybe how to answer some questions, because they do throw some curveballs. They ask you like a challenging question, like a what if question, like if you're lifeguarding and this happens, what would you do? I have a video on that, check that out on the playlist. But yeah, basically be yourself is so important. It sounds cliche, but I'm telling you, if you're so strict by the book, like not authentic, people can pick up on that really easily. Here's the second last question. I have a question, Adam, please. What is the best thing to do before the water test? To go with an empty stomach or a full stomach? That's an interesting question. When I took my pre-test, I think it was at 9 o'clock in the morning, I did have breakfast that day. So what I would say to you is don't have a huge breakfast, don't have like something crazy, or like if it's at night, don't have a huge dinner. I would recommend eating something at like probably like 2 hours before, nothing closer than that. I would not eat a big meal like 30 minutes before you go in. I would recommend having an empty stomach just because swimming involves your core, and if you don't want food jumbling around and you don't want to feel sick while you're swimming. So definitely it's good to have an empty stomach, but at the same time you do want the energy of food. So I'm not telling you guys not to eat. So I would have breakfast before, just make sure it's not too close to when you actually start swimming. So let's say it's like an 8 a.m. start time. Really it's gonna be like an 8:30 start time because they're gonna intro and talk about stuff. So really just like if you had a test at 9 a.m., I would have my breakfast at like 7:30 the latest. But yeah, I would try to go in with an empty stomach just to make it easier. Last question, other than just sitting on the chair watching people, what else do lifeguards do? It's kind of like a sassy comment. I don't know if this person's being authentic or just being kind of a jerk, but I'll still answer it. So if you're like a regular person, let's say you're not a lifeguard, and you look at lifeguarding, you're like, yeah, all they do is sit there, get a tan, and just like relax by the pool. And in a sense, yes, you do that, but this is the perfect example. If you have a pool, let's say you own a business and you have a pool, lifeguarding is the one thing where you don't want to hire them, but you need to have them, in the sense that there's gonna be days where nothing happens and all the lifeguard doing is just sitting there enjoying the sun and just looking over the pool, nothing happens. But what one small percentage, that small chance that something does happen, and if something does happen, you need them and they're 100% crucial. So you have to be very responsible as a lifeguard. You have so many, I talked about responsibilities earlier. It's not just sitting there. You got to make sure everyone's safe. If anything happens, that's on you. So it's not like, oh, like you're sitting there and if something happens, like it's still okay. Like don't worry if you mess up. Like that's someone's life in danger. Like you have to save their life. So really it's like from a distance, it may look like, oh, it's just a really easy, relaxing job. And it's a very rewarding job. Don't get me wrong, hanging out by the pool in the summertime is freaking awesome. But when something does happen, it's like your responsibility. Light turns on, you got to go, and just go by the book or trust your instinct and just make a save. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that involves it, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely like and subscribe. I hope these answers were clear and helpful. Sometimes I just rant, but I hope to post more content in the future, so stay tuned to that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.